Celebrating 30 years of phenomenal trend forecasting, 5 times a week, Monday through Friday. Here's Gerald Celente with today's trends in the news.
Hi, this is Gerald Celente. It's Wednesday, July 8th, 2015. And here are some of today's trends in the news. Well, the big news is, trends this week. That's right, because the big news is stocks aren't doing so good over there in China, and we're laying it out like no one else is and have been, as you well know. So you should have trends this week before trends in the news today, and more to come. Trends this week, Trends Monthly, and the TrendsJournal, all coming to you in addition to trends in the news. And we haven't raised the price since 1991. More value, the only place where you could subscribe to the future. And don't forget to look at that video of our Trends Conference. If you haven't seen it, well, if you watched it, you'd be prepared for today, a lot more than you already are. So, just a little bit of news because it's a big news day. July 8th, 2015 is a day that may be remembered in history. That's right. Stocks closed lower amid China sell-off. New York Stock Exchange floor trading briefly halted. This is at the end of the day CNBC. You know what that is?
Bullshit level, DEFCON 5.
Briefly halted? How about for almost 4 hours? Now that's briefly halted. And it took like 2.5 hours before they came down and even talked about why it was being closed. I'll tell you, it was ISIS. No. It was them. It was those cyber Chinese attacks. No, it wasn't that either. Who knows what it was? Who knows? But as the markets were going down, and they closed down over 250 points, maybe because of all this turmoil going on around the world. Again, read your trends this week. China's doing everything they can to rig the market, and it's not working. And we spell out the whys, the hows, and the wheres. And the where is, kind of feels like 1929. I know I'm getting older, but not quite that old. But when you look at all the retail investors in there, the rookies playing the markets over there in China, and how the frauds are pumping it up and trying to keep it up as it's going down, kind of has that same ring of a crash. Then you have the $72 billion debt going on in Puerto Rico that they can't pay. That's out of the news. Problems still exist over there in Greece. Hey, going to keep the banks closed again. That's right, for the whole week. How could you have any real dough in the banks in Greece knowing this was going to happen? And more may happen. We're looking at a real breakdown over here. U.S. stocks closed lower by nearly 1.5% or more on Wednesday, as continued concerns about Greece and the extended sell-off in the Chinese markets weighed on investor sentiment. And the other news is the Federal Open Market Committee, they released their June minutes, and it showed policymakers. A policymaker. That's what I want to be when I grow up, a policymaker, because I could tell everybody what to do. Make policy, yeah. Tell you how to live your life and what's good for you. We're concerned about the situation in Greece and China, with most judging that rate hike conditions were not yet achieved. You know what that is?
Oh, come on now. That ain't even bullshit. That's horse shit.
Total Fed horseshit. More 0% interest rate policy. Nothing has changed. The only thing that has changed is that they've pumped in trillions of dollars between the United States government and the Federal Reserve, about $13 trillion, to prop up these phony markets and make the filthy rich filthy richer. That's it, 0 period paragraph. Copper loses sparkle. Prices fall to 6-year lows. Wall Street Journal. And hey, copper? That's right. That's that leading industrial indicator of the precious metals that aren't so precious but used preciously when you're in manufacturing, like China is. That's right, the biggest user of that natural resource. Oh, not so good for Chile, is it? No. And not only are copper prices down, iron ore off 11% since the beginning of the week, down 20% since June. Nickel prices, poof, crashing as well, down 11% on Tuesday. Popped up a little bit today, but nothing of any consequence. That's what we're seeing, a slowdown around the world. Now, China, with this market going down, you may see a 4% GDP rate increase in China, down below their 7%. On to some other news. Trade deficit grows as strong dollar hurts exports. It's more than the strong dollar. Exports are going down because everybody's buying less, because even imports were down in the United States. But the good news is the deficit with China jumped 15% in May to $30.5 billion. This year it is running 11% higher than the same period a year ago. Isn't that great, huh? Yeah, buying more and selling less, the American way. IMF lays out case for Fed to stand pat. Hey, standing on pat again, huh? That's right. What they're saying is, don't raise those interest rates. Keep them low, keep Ponzi going. And Australia's slump socks foreign apparel chains. Among the problems facing retailers is a 20% slump in the Australian dollar over the past year that has increased import prices, adding to the already high overheads. Analysts said wage and rent costs as a share of revenue in the clothes retailing sector are close to double that of the United States. As many as a dozen clothing chains have landed in Australia within the space of a few years. Some are struggling to turn a profit. The deflating Australian dollar is driving up costs, just as mining investment boom winds down. No. We've been talking about the mining investment boom winding down now for what? 2 years? No surprise. Again, if Americans and Europeans don't buy things, China doesn't make them, nor these other cheap labor companies or countries, same thing. And if they're not making things, then resource-rich countries like Chile with copper, Australia with iron ore, platinum, silver, other commodities, nickel, and all the countries that produce them, they're not exporting. It's a global slowdown. The panic is on. Gold prices went up a bit today. Oil prices keep going down. I believe, and we've said at the conference, and we're saying it now, when gold prices go up, boom, shoo, I believe they're going to spike up. And I believe they're doing everything they can to keep prices down. Because it's a Ponzi scheme, currencies are worthless, and when gold prices go up, it'll show the fraud of how bad they are. John the Slime Corzine, that's right. How's that for a fraud, a disgusting human being who cheated me out of my money by robbing my segregated accounts when I had money with MF Global. MF, mother, that's right. I didn't name it, they did. And Corzine lives by it because he's a real one, man. You know what they did to him? Gave him another slap on the wrist fine. Corzine and others settled for $64.5 million. Yep. You remember him. Besides running MF Global, he was the governor of Jersey and the head of the Goldman Sachs gang. That's right. And speaking about other low-life frauds and disgusting human beings, how about our former Attorney General, Eric Holder? Yeah, Holdus. Yep. After 6 years of not prosecuting one slimy guy like Corzine or the other banksters that have ripped us off of trillions of dollars, Holder returns home to defend them. That's right. Went back to his job at that wonderful joint where he used to work, Covington and Burling, the corporate law firm that protects the Wall Street gang and other people that commit misdeeds, that mislead. Yeah. As I said, it's not a revolving door. It's one door. It's the corporate door, filled by corporate whores. Eric Holder, a disgusting human being, the perfect representative of the Attorney General of the United States, considering what Washington is, the people that work there, and the members of the Bloods and the Crips, better known as the Republicans and the Democrats. Murderers and thieves. Hey, speaking about murderers and thieves, good news. U.S. drone strike kills 49 in East Afghanistan. Well, as long as it wasn't in West Afghanistan. Yep. 49 people. But they were all suspected militants and proven not guilty, but suspected of being guilty. So we'll make up anything we want because Eric Holder's boss is the guy, of course, quote, we're really good at killing people, as he brags about his drone program. I wonder why they hate us. Can't figure it out, but we'll get to that. We'll do some more studying. And 231 killed in Iraq, including the bombing of a school in northern Iraq. And our allies, that's right, the Saudis. Another 50 civilians killed in Yemen. That's right, the United States is responsible for the murder. We are supplying them with intelligence. A bunch of jerks, sick people telling them what to bomb, refueling their airplanes, supplying them with armaments, and giving them reconnaissance and other important information. What to do and how to kill more people in Yemen. And, as I said, the incompetence and the inepts helping the murderers. Pentagon found only 60 Syrian rebels for training. That's right. Asshole Carter said that right out of his mouth. Yep, they were going to train between 5,000 and 3,000. So they pumped in $500 million as this country's falling apart. $500 million to military madmen and their contractor buddies to vet them rebels to overthrow Assad. That's right, over there in Syria. So that comes out to about $9 million each. Yeah, that's right up the Pentagon's alley. And Shell places huge bets on Arctic oil riches. That's right, they're pumping away up there in the Arctic Circle. You environmentalists that love Obama. And now you're going to vote for Hillary. He gave it away. Oh, hey, remember that train wreck over there last week? We won't talk about that anymore. That was just a lot of fracking fluid that blew up. Same thing's going to happen there. Because the agencies that regulate this goes back to Eric Holder and all those other slimy people running the government. These agencies are nothing. They're fronts for multinationals. And finally, 2 attacks in Kabul target NATO forces and Afghan forces. And Jason P. May, 38, Senior Chief Petty Officer, one of the casualties last week. The war keeps going on. Kabul, remember they told us how safe it was. It's one lie after another. Our Occupy Peace Conference is coming up in September. If you're for peace, put your money where your heart is, because they're going to lead us to war. We need all the help we can get, all the support we can get. The bigger the attendance, the more we speak out and follow our plan for peace. This isn't a rally. This is an action plan for peace. We can reverse this course. If not, phew, the big flush is happening. And Eric Holder's there to make it happen. This is Gerald Celente, and that's some of today's Trends in the News.